Welcome back to Unscheduled and Unapologetic. This is our final week, week 4. And in this week, we're going to start to pull things together. So this week, we're really looking at my company's Life Edit and Design. So this week, we're really looking at the editing and designing. So this is where you're going to start to move into architecting your life. So again, going back to the artist with the canvas, you're really starting to say, what is this picture? What is the outcome I'm going for? So we've learned a few skills about creating white space. We've learned how to check in with our body and to take things off of our list, to redefine productivity, to realize that we're 100% worthy. So now let's put that together and say, okay, what is this? How does this show up in my life now so that I can move forward? So we've been a lot of practicing, a lot of what you'd call like a practice sessions. And now we're going to start to move into life sessions. So in this week, I want you to really start to look at you're looking at your schedule as a designer. And what I have a saying that I say, plan as a promise, live as an artist. So plan your day as a promise. These are the promises of the things that are important to you. You've promised yourself that what I put on my schedule is in alignment with me and is important to me. And then I'm going to live it as an artist. I'm going to live it with joy. So that is how I want you to approach. That's your mantra for this week, is how do I design the things? So I've learned the things. Now we got to put it into a rhythm and a flow that becomes the new normal for you. So these other weeks have felt like small experiments. Now we're really going to test a hypothesis that says, if I build more white space into my schedule, and if I only put the things on my calendar that are ultra important to me, I will start to live an intentionally designed life, and I will start moving towards that goal for myself for the second act. And that's where we're headed. That's what this week is about, is really starting to put these things to practice and into our rhythm of our life. So we want to go from kind of life happening to you to life being something you've designed. So before, everybody put things on your to-do list, right? Your kids, your boss, your spouse, everybody put things on your list. Now it's like, now I have this blank canvas and I decide what comes on it. Yes, was your boss going to give you a project? Of course. Yes, there's still going to be some obligations, but you're going to have a different container now. You're going to have a container that has a lot of white space on it, and you're going to see, well, what things can I get into this? And give yourself credit for how creative you really are. Sometimes I watch some television shows and I'm like, oh, I would have never thought of that angle, like somebody's getting out of trying to do something. I'm thinking of Suits in particular. Like they kind of come up with different angles, ways around different problems. And it's like they're ultimate problem solvers, whether you agree with the show or not, that's neither here nor there. But it's just like they find unusual angles to problems, and they find other people to do some work for them. And I want you to start to do that in your own life that says, there's some things that are come on my calendar that are not in alignment, that are they're overscheduling me. How am I going to be creative? How am I going to say, I have to earn my keep. I have to take care of my family still, but how do I do these things in a way that is in alignment now? How do I outsource them? How do I say no to them? How do I delegate them? Like what are you going to be able to do now? You have to think more creatively, because now you've experienced what that white space feels like. Now you've experienced what it feels like to say no and how to follow that intuition in your body. Well, now we get to keep it going. Life is still going to happen. Things are still going to come at you that you don't want to do. Unless you're retired like me and it's like, woohoo. You need to find that way now to protect the space that you've created and to keep your values first and foremost. And that's what this week is about, is strategy. How are you going to do it? How are you going to be the architect? And that means you're going to have to tap into some new problem-solving skills. You may have to go out and listen to some other podcasts, draw inspiration from things that are completely out of your field. Look at how other people solve scheduling problems. Look at how other people are delegating. Look at some of the most productive people, like who you think of as productive, and realize that they don't do all the work themselves, right? They find other people to do it. How are you going to do that in your life? And you might say, well, I have to do these certain things. It's like, well, are you in charge of other people? Is this growth opportunities for other people where you always feel like it's, one thing I always notice is like, it's faster if I just do it myself. And it's hard to delegate when you know it's going to take them twice the time and it's not going to be the same quality. But you know what? They're on a journey, and you have to let them have that journey, and you have to let them have that growth opportunity. So your job is to have your growth opportunity, which is more spaciousness, more white space, more values driven, and you have to let them learn to grow. So Get creative this week. You really have to think. This is the edit and design part of your life, is like you're editing out the things you don't want. You're designing ways to get things done that it's different from the way you've normally done it. And look at it as a creativity challenge. Like we all have that inner alchemist who really wants to find ways to do things that frees up time for the magic and for the joy. And so that's what you're looking at, is these things that drag you down. How are you going to deal with them going forward? How are you going to design your life where those things get taken care of and they're not so much a burden on your life? And you're looking for creating a rhythm that feels easy and expansive and supportive, because, that next chapter of your life is something that is so beautiful, but it's not responsibility driven anymore. It's joy driven, it's purpose driven, it's mission driven. Like you're going to start with mission U, right? Mission U is to vibrate at a higher level so that you can bring up everybody around you. That's the mission. And that's going to happen when you go after the things that you really, really desire. And when you've created the space for you to go after those things. So we got to get creative this week. And you really want to go with what feels good all the time. I have a friend who, she's like, I don't need to go on vacation because I want my house to feel like I'm on vacation. Like she's designed her house to feel like a retreat. And that's how I feel about my life. Now that I'm retired, it's like, I don't need to go on trips all the time because my day feels like a vacation. It feels spaciousness. I put the things that I want into my life on a regular basis now. And so I don't need to go away. Or when I was working, it was like, oh, I just need a break. I need time away. I need to silence the emails, silence the phone calls, and silence all the demands. And so that's what vacation was like. I want you to start to move towards, my life feels like a vacation. Like I've designed it so that these things don't come in and throw me off anymore. That's really what you're looking for. So I want you to kind of, first you might have to say like, well, what does that look like? Because it's really hard. Like if you've got this canvas in front of you, and you're like, well, I don't really know. Am I painting a landscape? Am I painting a still life? Like, I don't know what this picture is. And that's where I want you to first start. And then one of your experiments this week is to kind of sketch out, what does a week look like? What could it potentially look at? Like a mock-up week of, based on your energy, not your obligations, based on desire, not to-dos. Like, again, remember we talked about the could-do list. These are things you could do, but you don't have to do. I want you to start to say, what does that week look like that's built on the things that are in alignment with me? And just sketch it out on paper. Because again, it's like doing a line drawing on that canvas to say, what would it look like when I fill it in with color? I just need some basic parameters now of like, how much time am I working? How much white space is there? What do I do when I'm following my desire? What are some of the things that light me up? And so just start putting that on there and putting, again, building in the white space first and putting in playtime and breaks and movement and energy and like checking in. Maybe you start to build in like oracle card readings. I love doing those because it just helps me get out of my head and say, okay, how could I interpret this card? How does it relate to my life? Because it allows me to do some creative thinking. It's not fortune telling. It's creative thinking of looking at what's the inspiration on this card and how does that relate to me? And it gets you thinking creatively and playfully. And so that's why I want you to think, like, what are the things that I'm going to be putting on my schedule, on my canvas that would build that life for me? You might not be able to get it right now, but at least you're starting to create the picture. You're starting to do that sketch of what it could look like. And then if you can, live parts of it, live a whole day of it. Like try to find maybe 3 days where you're at least living a part of that perfect, not perfect, but ideal schedule, like that, the way that feels right in an alignment for you. And just journal about how it feels when you can start to tap into this. And again, make it your real life, when your life does not need a vacation because it feels like a vacation. It feels spacious. It feels energetic. It feels alive. And you're like, wow, I'm happy. Summer is the perfect time for us to really do that because we have the extra daylight. We have that energy that really lights us up. We have that natural vitamin D coming in and it helps. So that's why this is the perfect time for you to do this. Is like, what does this feel like? Your scheduled work is hopefully a little bit looser, so it allows you the time to do this real life experiment and really dive into it. And so you're thinking about creating kind of like a prototype. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're just tweaking things and getting some things, a loose frame that you're going to then be able to fill in and make it better and better and better as you go. But we need a place to start. So again, you have your journal prompts. Look at those. Like the accumulator might be thinking about like, how do I protect my unscheduled time so that it's like gold? Like that's, wow, that's high vibe. It's like, now it's like my unscheduled time is what's important, not my productivity, like how much I get done. It's my unscheduled time. That's the value. That's the richness in my life. Like that's a whole different shift for the accumulator mindset, right? So how do you flip that script? With the romantic, it's like, what could bring more softness into my day? And how do I have that in my day on a regular basis, not just once in a while? Like, how do I build that into my day? So those are some of the prompts that I want you to think about. And I remember that, again, this is leading your life. This is becoming the leader of you. And it's really about saying, I know what I need and I'm worthy of it, and I'm designing my life for it. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need to be overscheduled. These are the things you start with that blank slate first. And now we're trying to create a rhythm that keeps that blank slate always in there and keeps you on that unapologetic schedule going forward. That it's like, I'm not apologizing. This is where I'm going. This is what my next act is all about. I don't need to fill in with your baggage and what you want. This is what I want. This. I love to say the second chapter is where you're saying, it's my turn now. This is about me now. And I've done all the obligations and I've done that. Been there, done that. Now it's time for me to shine. So I hope that you've enjoyed this 4-week process, and it's not over, right? You have to work. This week is all about building the skill. And you're just going to have to keep repeating this week over and over to say, how do I make it better? How do I make it better? How do I make it better? You have the canvas of the summer to work with, so that by the time fall rolls around, you've gotten your training wheels pretty much ready to come off. And you're like, I know how to build in white space. I know how to build into for my desires. I know how to live in alignment. That's what we're going for. So you have the rest of the summer to practice. Again, reach out to me. I'd love to hear what you have going on, what you've learned, what are your insights, what are some of the answers that you've come up with through your journal prompting. Love to hear from you. So have an awesome day. Have an awesome summer. And again, reach out to me if you have any questions. Take care.